Hey there, it's Leia. Welcome to this episode of Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life. In this video, we are going to be doing a manifestation reading. More specifically, we are going to be taking a look at some possible blocks when it comes to your goals and dreams. This time we're using one of my most personally beloved oracle card decks, the Enchanted map by baron-reid. For those of you who are regulars here, if you guessed that I'm gonna say next that this is not a predictive reading, you are absolutely right. This video doesn't talk about what you will be manifesting in the near future or even in the distant future. Instead, the focus is on doing inner work or shadow work on what could be getting in your way or how you could be getting in your way. Listen for what resonates with you. Journal keepers, by all means, there is plenty of material in these videos that we do together for you to use as journaling prompts. Let us get started. Card number 1 is Balancing Act. Let's begin with this question. Is your energy scattered? Do you think you need to sharpen your focus? Whatever we give energy to, wherever we put our attention, that takes up bandwidth, that takes up parts of ourselves. I know it seems like common sense, but sometimes we get lost in our daily activities and we don't give it a second thought. I know that some of us have boundless energy, but still, energy is limited. If we're not very conscious of it, we could fall easily into old habits that aren't exactly conducive to us fulfilling our goals. For instance, if you say you want to write a book, but instead you spend your days watching whatever's on the TV, where does your energy go? It's easy for our energy to bleed into different activities that we might otherwise choose not to do or choose to limit ourselves from doing if we had more awareness of how we actually spend our days. Also, is it possible that it's time to reprioritize? Maybe you already had a certain way that you were doing things in the past and it was working for you. But again, those old habits came back into the picture and you slipped into them. This is where we could do what we call course correction. You have this path in front of you, and if you see yourself veering off too much to the left, too much to the right, then you redirect yourself. If you've heard the saying, progress, not perfection, and you can relate to it, that's what we're going for here. And being aware of the people that we allow into our lives. Because especially if you're an empath, the people you hang out with do influence how you think, how you feel, and what you eventually end up doing. And every once in a while, you might even feel like doing a reset or an overhaul, maybe for some kind of detox. So you can start over with what feels like a clean slate. Let us move on to card number 2, because these cards are bigger than standard tarot cards, which I think the stand that they are on was made for. They take up more space, but we'll make do. Oh, it's Golden Palace. Now I can put it in there. This card right here is straight up talking about the finer stuff in life. Abundance, So it's very fitting that it should show up in this reading about manifestation. And what I'd say it's asking us in relation to our subject is to reflect on our mindset when it comes to money, wealth, and abundance. Now, this might be something that you do over a prolonged period of time, rather than attempting to finish it in one sit-down moment of contemplation or journaling, because many of these beliefs can be buried, or they're not so close to the surface. Even when you've done a lot of inner work, there's still so much left to unravel. But one way that can help us recognize beliefs that we have in this area is to look at situations in our life that involve these. Despite what we say we believe, for example, you say, "Oh, I believe I deserve abundance." If your life is showing you that you're settling for less than, then that is the programming that's still running the show. Certain situations can be pretty challenging to get out of. Sometimes finding ourselves in poverty, for instance, is something very hardwired, familially, culturally. But if we say it's our dream to be in an entirely different situation than the one we find ourselves in, being honest with ourselves about that is one of the first steps to changing it. Acknowledging that this is what's going on and deciding I want very different from that can help begin to set those changes in motion. Of course, it takes action and not just dreaming or wishing or stating and refusing to stay there if we are unhappy with it. That makes a huge difference. So focus on what matters to you and take the steps to make that a reality. And now we have our third card. Sad Embrace. Two points immediately come to me as I look at this card in relation to our topic. The first being to acknowledge losses we have yet to mourn. Grieving is a process, and going back to card number 1, what is within us takes up energy and space, whether we actively give it attention or not. So let's ask ourselves, what do I have yet to let go of? Maybe someone you love passed, or you broke up with someone that you consider the love of your life, and you haven't given yourself time to grieve over that. For others, it could be career related. It could be that you found yourself down a different path, and now you feel like opportunities that meant so much to you are now long gone. But instead of giving yourself time to feel whatever it is you feel about all this, maybe you just continued on with life or swept it under the rug. Whatever your reason may be, for some it's because it's too painful to feel, too difficult, too messy. And sometimes we might just be following that old advice of, it won't do you any good to cry over it, so why even bother? But if that wound is still within you, it's still hurting, even if you don't give it any attention or pretend that it doesn't exist. And that takes away energy that you could be funneling into what it is that you do want to achieve or would like to be doing with your life instead. So think about what you might not have allowed yourself to mourn. Some of you out there might not have even done it on purpose. Like, you didn't make the decision, I'm not gonna mourn this thing right now. Because maybe life was too busy and it just didn't end up happening that you had the time to do so. But yeah, when someone or something really matters to us, it can help to have some sort of closure, even if we give it to ourselves, rather than, say, wait for someone that we feel owes us some sort of explanation to give it to us. And how about those who lost someone suddenly? They can't ever say goodbye to that person face to face, but perhaps some sort of personal ritual might help ease the load in some way. Now that second point that came to me is, what can we intentionally let go of? Sometimes there are things that no longer work, and yet we keep attempting to make them work. But it would really be more efficient and beneficial for all concerned if we just stopped. It could be a variety of things. Old clothes, clutter at home that we want to keep around because of our own personal reasons, but we don't really need any of it anymore. Those clothes don't fit anymore. Old items that are only taking up space, but we don't even use them anymore. Or even a job, career path, some relationships. Decide what these could be for you so that you can free up more space in your life for the new. There's a saying that nature abhors a vacuum. So once you make room, you can expect to see that something else will fill that space. And we can make a conscious, intentional decision when it comes to what we allow in there. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope that there were some points here that help jog your inspiration and your passion to get your life moving in the direction you want it to go. If you enjoyed this, there's so much more coming on this channel, including weekly readings, which are typically at the end of the week for the week ahead. More journaling prompt inspiration. I'll be back very soon. Take care. Bye for now. More Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life coming your way.